Good evening, this is Hound Dog Steve here, and we need to talk about mortgaging, remortgaging and debt. Okay, so this is a little story from the Globe and Mail, and this really for me is where I began to realise that the Canadian housing bubble had actually burst. And this is about Home Capital Group, and they got themselves into a whole bunch of financial trouble when the investors pulled out 95% of their funds. And this was after the terminated employment of former Chief Executive Martin Reid. Okay, but the withdrawals accelerated after April 19th when Ontario Securities Commission, Canada's biggest securities regulator, accused Home Capital of making misleading statements to investors about its mortgage underwriting business. So what this is basically saying is they were making a lot of subprime loans. Okay, these were ninja loans, no income, no job, no problem. And so this is when all the trouble started. So now this is from Better Dwelling. Canadians are using second mortgages to avoid bankruptcy. And because we have been living in a low interest and a house price increasing situation, there's been lots of equity to tap into. And so you can see that the homeowners bankruptcy index here has been falling since 2007 to 2016. And the reason it is falling is because Canadians are taking more and more equity out of their homes and using it to buy actually mostly non-business stuff. There's a little comment down here that says, look, Canadians borrowed against over 313 billion in real estate, and then it goes on here, over 266 billion, I mean that's the vast majority of it, was for non-business related reasons. So this means it was for cars, for trips, extensions on the home, additions, renovations, you name it. It was everything but business. Now the reason it's important where that money was spent is that if the majority of that money went into non-business items, non-business items have no or very little return on investment. If you're using that money to invest in business, it was probably some kind of expansion or upgrade or startup or something like that, but there was some kind of return going to come back from that investment. But luxury items do not give you any of that kind of return. So this is a very important little factoid as to where that money disappeared to. And so when you compare this chart to this chart, you can see exactly what is happening. The Canadians, through the equity in their homes, now whether this be a line of credit or whether this be a reverse mortgage, which I think are extremely dangerous. Now I will get into that in a minute. It really doesn't matter. This is how homeowners have been staving off the cruel effects of inflation. Okay, and inflation is catching up with everybody, and this is why we're seeing increase in use of food banks, increase in use of people taking money out of their own homes. And this is great, and this is a great little idea, as long as the car is moving forwards. Should you get a moderate fall in the price of homes and a moderate increase in the interest rates, you could be looking for real disaster. And the danger with these reverse mortgages is that I'm pretty certain, now I haven't actually read one of these documents, but knowing banks who are prone to crossing the T's and dotting the I's, they will put a little clause in there that should your home value fall below a certain percentage, that you will have to start paying them a monthly rate at interest. So in other words, you will be having a mortgage again. So go ahead and take that equity out of your home, but just realize, what a dangerous game this is if you have no backup, if you have no way of dealing with the fact that, say home prices drop by 25%, which is not out of the question. Okay, we are moving into a recession, and house prices have been in a bubble for an awful long time, and we've reached that point, where people's incomes just cannot qualify, even with ninja loans, for the kind of price that people are asking for their homes. And of course, this is going to balance itself. The marketplace always does balance itself, and so it will come down to a point where the market feels comfortable. And I think certainly a 25%, if not a 35% drop in home prices is in the books. And of course, they have said that they will be raising interest rates this fall, although I expect it will be a moderate raise, because they are completely aware of these documents that I'm showing you, and so they will realize that if there was a sudden 1.5% interest rate, it would basically throw every mortgage holder off a cliff, and that would just destroy the economy. It would implode almost overnight, as everyone's disposable income was sucked up in lawyers' fees and bank charges and moving fees. Oh my God, I don't even want to think about the result of that. Okay, so that they know that as well. So I think you will see a moderate interest rate hike, probably 0.25%. It may be 0.5%, but I think it's more likely to be 0.25%. But it is still, it has an effect. And, all of our other cost of living is going up at the same time. Energy costs are going up. These hurricanes have caused a spike in the cost of fuel. Energy, of course, Hydro One, friend of everybody, has applied for another rate hike. And all of these bonuses that they're giving you back, by the way, by Hydro, this is just to get you through the next election, and they will be coming off, I can assure you, and you will end up paying the full rate of Hydro without any kind of subsidy at all. And this will be a shock. This will be a shock to the system. The increase in minimum wage will be a shock to the system. The increase will not mean any net increase to the people who get the raise to $15, because it'll just be handed on to the consumer through the sale of the goods that the manufacturer makes. So it will be a net situation. So don't expect any great things from that, except it will push the general cost of living up by about 2-3%, as those wages have to be covered. So these are serious issues that are going on in our society and in our housing market, and I would really urge everybody to try and pay down some debt. Right now it's almost I would say forget your pension plan. If you're saddled with debt, or if you have been sucking the equity out of your home, you need to turn that around. You need to give yourself some breathing space. When you do your financial planning, decrease the value of your home and increase the interest rate that you're going to have to pay on outstanding balances, and see what that does to the final balance. So I think we need to take this into account, and I hope that you will all heed this warning. These figures do not lie. Okay, these people are very good at tracking this kind of stuff, and I would hate to see some of you people caught out there behind the 8 ball. Okay, so this is Hound Dog Steve signing off, and I hope you have a great evening, and I hope this information was useful to you. Okay, you take care now. Good night.